slowly get started. Let's begin by taking a couple deep breaths together. So maybe gently closing your eyes and bring your awareness into your body, and just as you breathe, simply feel the breath. Feel the air in the nostrils. Feel your chest rise. Feel it fall. As if you're just coming home, breathing in again, letting the mind sort of take a back seat, as all you're doing is focusing on the inhale and the exhale, potentially letting go with the exhale. And then one more time, breathing in and breathing out. Yay, I love starting that way just because it's such a gift to be invited to come home to our breath. I wanted to share today that this is probably going to be the last IN5D gathering, only because Spirit's telling me a little bit that we're going to be switching gears. So there'll probably be, I have 3 more Saturdays before I head back to markets, as far as I know. So I'm going to earmark this time, and then we can have a little bit of a discussion at the end of today and see if anybody has input for me as to what will be most useful. And so I think it's going to be a little bit of a switching gears from the IN5D topic, but it's kind of hopefully helping us prepare to return to a bright new world. But for today, several people wrote back to my email when I said, what do you guys need? How can I serve? And they wrote about being really simultaneously in a centered place, and then sort of feeling immensely impacted by the messages that are out there. And so I wanted to spend a little bit of time just allowing us to breathe into that space and potentially giving us a perspective or a reminder as to who we are and why we're here. So there's going to be all kinds, Spirit said there's going to be tons of crazy messages and ideas and truths and not truths that are going to come forth, not only about this, but just about the way the world is. And some of them are going to come from sources that we felt like we could trust. And as the world is changing, and as we're lightening up and really stepping into our own power, that the short answer is we're always going to be the one and only best judge for ourselves as to what is true. And everybody's, as I mentioned before, everybody's going through a rebirth. Everybody's going through some sort of a upgrade, button pushing, choice making, and they're operating from the best place they potentially can, but that doesn't always mean that, certainly not right now, it's time for us to just hop in and trust. We are invited to have immense trust in ourselves, in spirit, in the universe. And they're not saying don't trust anybody, but really first and foremost, trust yourself. And really what that means is trust how things make you feel. I had a couple instances, probably the first couple of weeks, where I could tell there was multiple versions of, the 3D, 4D, 5D version I've even sort of talked about, in that 4D astral realm where it is light and dark, and there are sort of pseudo realities playing out. Some healers like to spend time there. I very clearly, that's why this is called IN5D, because Spirit was like, you got to go over there and do the thing that's the oneness thing, because it's really ultimately where we're headed. So there's going to be lots of different versions, but I want to, invite us to remember that it's our job to feel good as often as we can, to heal ourselves, and to if you find yourself reading a newspaper headline, you know, and we're all or finding something on the internet, really notice how it makes you feel. And if it makes you feel good and centered and loving and empowered and inspired, spend time there. You know, that's casting our consciousness for, you know, checking the vote box of like, spirit, I want more of this, so I'm going to look at this. And I found myself last night, there was somebody had posted they somehow had a hummingbird nest in their garden, and the hummer mama trusted this woman enough. And so there's all this footage, and I've never seen little jelly bean sized hummingbird eggs and how they feed them and how they raise them. And that's how I spent my time last night, because some of the other things that I wanted to do, I was just like, this doesn't make me feel good. And so that's kind of a fun, silly example, but I think hummingbirds are amazing totem animals, and you know, they're the only ones that can fly. If we consider an animal that might help us in these times, they can fly backwards. They can also drink nectar and fly backwards. And so, you know, we're being invited to get all these new skills of moving forward and backward and up and down, and also drinking from the nectar of life, because life is really good right now. And so that's kind of a call to action that's really subtle. It's how we cast our consciousness, and we're going to be presented more opportunities than we thought about how to do that. And the cool thing is that we already know this. This isn't a totally weak muscle. We've been, you know, we've learned how to walk. We might not know how to run, to kind of get the metaphor going, but that's going to be kind of what's up for us as people, as humanity reemerges and continues through this magical year. You know, we have stuff is going to be unfolding well into November. We're going to see a little bit of a settle down around November, December, but then also we've got a couple years of a big shift. So really choosing, so what came through for today in response to that is cultivating more and more of our own personal space, of our own inner world, of our own journey, and really taking that time to understand that that's why we're here. Ultimately, we're here to love everyone, you know, and ultimately we're here to give love to the world and to love ourselves. So, you know, the thing that is, you know, a lot of the messages might make us feel helpless or taken advantage of, or, you know, and we don't need to be good cop, bad cop. We just get to know that my job right now is to unconditionally love myself. And that's a really important and profound job for us, because, you know, truth and self-love is the biggest offering we can make. And we can only offer the world love, and we can only offer the world unconditional love when we've understood how to give that to ourselves. And one of the metaphors that came through as I was doing a little meditation about this was to consider the sun. You know, the sun doesn't choose who it shines its light on. The sun shines its light. And that's the type of energy that we're being invited to remember. It's always a remembering. It feels like it might be long forgotten, but that type of unconditional love. So if we consider how the sun shines, how it's just giving its light and giving its light and giving its light and giving its light, because that's what it knows is its most profound job. And so when we consider what we're supposed to be doing right now, it's first giving that love to ourselves, to really step into a place where we can feel we're already complete. And it's interesting at this time, part of us wants to, you know, when can we get back out and be normal, you know, and then it's also like, wait, like this is also an internal job now more than ever. I want to invite us to practice that we are already in a perfect situation, that we're already complete, that we're already whole right now. as we're sheltering in place, as we're experiencing 3D shifts, that we really get to find our inner presence, to cultivate that relationship with ourselves, to connect to our heart. And part of that, the neat thing about that is, part of that journey is letting go and releasing our attachments to the external world. So there was a little metaphor that came through a couple times earlier this week, and I'll share it with you guys. And it's like this: in whatever way that we've been holding on to anything, with clasping it, we're being invited to let it, to release and to let go. And so it's the letting go muscle that is a really important and powerful part of our ability to unconditionally love ourselves. And that's not linear, but I hope you can feel how it's the same vibration. So we've likely all been on a personal inward seeking path and can tell that we've let go of a lot, that we are, relatively unattached to this world, but even more to, to let go of the things that we feel like we need. I'll give you a silly example. I've gone to the store once a week throughout this whole time, and I got a little free Instacart thing, and I thought I'd try it just because giving somebody a job and tipping them felt like a good idea. And so I ordered all my stuff online. And then I realized, as this person was doing their best to shop for me, they didn't see the world through my eyes. They didn't understand that I like unprocessed foods. I love corn tortillas, but I need the corn to be fresh ground and not chemically processed. And that's a big deal for me. And this person, there was so many instances like that where I realized, wow, I've let go a lot. And also I'm really particular about some things, apparently, and I didn't realize how particular I was. And I felt like it was a very good judgment for myself. And spirit was like this, like, let go. This wonderful person is doing their best to shop for you, Lisa, and also you can have, I don't need to lose my truth, but also I get to receive their energy and their effort with an open heart, and really look them in the eye and thank them and tip them properly. And then, enjoy the tortillas that were more processed than I wanted for however long I need to enjoy them. And I'll go back to the store next week and I'll get my own. And it's a funny, silly example, but I hope that you can see how that was my version of spirit being like, yeah, even no spiritual elitism here is happening, and everybody's involved in letting go. So that, I don't know, I just felt like that was kind of a funny story. But as we consider the even deeper ways that we get to let go of who we think we are, how the world is, what we do with our day, what we call our where we call home, what we call our work, all of that is up for this release of us letting go of the reins so that we can serve. And really, if we want to experience, there's different spiritual depths to talk about, and people are asking about, how do I reach enlightenment and how do I raise my kundalini? And, the guys in the caves in Tibet and India are like, serve people, love people. And it's really counterintuitive, but that type of letting go so that the world can rebalance itself. And so that gets us to the idea of how to practice this letting go. Well, we're going to know that we get to practice it just because now it's like the little post-it note has been on our put on our little mirror or vision through the world. So as we go through our day and something feels like it's a trigger, that's the sign where we get to consider, how can I release and how can I offer myself unconditional love? And to get back to that tortilla story, what if I just trusted that my body was going to be able to eat these tortillas and process them, and then I get to get back? What if I just love myself, and know that I'm doing the best I can? And I, like I said, that's a very cursory example, but all sorts of things are coming up for shift. So So to consider, I want us to get into a little practice here. I'm gonna share my screen. The vision that came through was, you know, just this, that the sun shines on everybody. It's just giving its light, it's giving its light, it's giving its light. And that's its job. And it's pointing us to the fact that that's also a metaphor for, that's our job. That's our new, as we kind of consider letting go and unconditionally loving ourselves so that we can offer that same light and love to everyone and everything. The sun is right there in the sky every moment of every day, showing us how to do it. So let's go ahead and take a moment to maybe you know, consider this picture. Close your eyes and imagine yourself sitting outside, maybe at a beach that looks like this, or in a meadow, or at your favorite park, or wherever you're at. You're sitting or lying, and you can just look up at the sun with your eyes closed, looking up at the sun and feeling its light, its energy, its warmth. And feel the immense amount of power that the sun is transmitting always to everyone, everywhere. And as it shines its light down to you and through you, first you might start to feel the little tingles and the increased energy. The sun is also sending codes of information for us. It's sending them unconditionally. It's sending them to everybody, everywhere. And it's for those who really want to receive this light and this information, that they can really receive it. That's the type of role that we're going to have with ourselves as unconditionally loving. But first we get to receive from the sun. So just looking up, feeling the light coming down, receiving with an open heart, with all of your presence right here and right now. All the light that's coming through unconditionally to you. And you're, by simply turning to face the sun, acknowledging its presence, its intelligence, and its energy, receiving this light, this information, energetic codes. It can feel very high vibrational, like a wonderful hum in the body. And just breathing and receiving for a little bit more time here. And now notice, as you're sort of communing with the sun, if there's anything that's present for you that's something that you might need help being unconditionally loving about in the world, within yourself. Maybe it's just an energy that you can feel in your field. Let the light of the sun transform it. Invite the sun's light to that space within you, to that, if there's words around it or an image around it, that place, that image, those words, or just that place in your field that might not be vibrating right now with unconditional love for yourself and for the world. And just allow that light to go there and just watch how it almost energetically, it's not necessarily burning it up, but it transforms it. Just melting it away so that you can experience more light. And then notice if the sun has anything to share with you about how it operates, how it's able to shine so brightly. So first, the sun must be itself and be with itself in order to share light. And it automatically shares this light because it is so truly itself. So it's also showing us that our first task is within us. And I'm hearing that very often the things in our external world that push our buttons are somehow subtle reflections of something within ourselves. And that's an interesting law of attraction to consider, that the things that we see that annoy us are ready for release within us first. So just being with this energy of the sun, notice if you have any other information coming through. And see if you can connect your heart now. Open up your heart and allow the light of the sun to just beam down into this beautiful heart center that is yours, and feel that heart just glow with the golden light from the sun. Wonderful. And when you feel yourself start to feel full of this light, full of this beautiful energy from the sun, your heart's full, your being's full, you can send an energy of gratitude to the sun. And then just slowly coming back into your body where you're at. And notice how you feel right now. Hopefully lighter, more centered, and more energized. And this is so wonderful because I think this came through for us today as, you know, just like the breath, just like our energetic bodies, just like everything about ourselves. We always have all these tools within us. We're being reminded that we also have the support of the external universe. And this sun is there for us every moment of the day. And all we need to do when we need to feel more light, remember how to love ourselves, be able to release the things that we're afraid of or that are within us that are not what we want. All we also need to do, we can do, this is another wonderful support, is connect with the sun. Close our eyes, take a moment and look up at the sun. So I'll stop my share. And I wonder if we can just take a moment within ourselves to acknowledge that we are already full and complete, right here and now. That this life, this moment is already perfect. And really to feel that love that's already within us. And then finally to know and to remember that as we go through our life, our weeks, to consider that this is all such a wonderful opportunity for sharing ourselves and our love and our light unconditionally with the world, and to really remember that if we do feel triggered, all we need to do is be able to choose. There are little children behind me that are very loud. We choose to be able to love. So that's kind of, gosh, I think that's kind of the nutshell of what I wanted to share. I also would love if you guys have any feedback for that. And also, as I mentioned, this is going to be the last IN5D gathering, as it's called, but I do feel like we'll be gathering the next 3 Saturdays. It's just going to be in an email. You guys are all on my email list, I'm imagining. And it's going to be a slight shift, and I don't know what that is yet, but Spirit really said to put it to everybody to let me know what you need, or what's present for you is likely present for, it's funny that it wasn't just one person that wrote in about, how to handle the stories and the things about what's really true. There was a whole, I don't know, 8 people within 24-hour period that were like, yeah, that's something that I need some help with. So if you guys find, you can type it in the chat if you want. You can write me an email if you want. I do sense that our future gatherings will be of us, there's it's not going to be that far from this, but I think also it's kind of with the eye of, we can kind of already feel the world shifting gears a little bit, and getting ready to potentially go back out, but there is no going back. There's only going forward. And so there's so much potential there. And so I think that's kind of why I'm probably going to switch the name and ask for a little bit more input from all you guys who are gathering here today. So I don't know if anybody right now have anything they want to share. Either you can unmute yourself, you can share your video, you can write, or you can also just write to me about what would be helpful for you. I'm going to give us just a minute or two right here for that, in case you guys want to share anything. Anybody? Katie B says, thank you. I would like a Reiki session from you someday. Oh yeah, for sure. Thank you. Well, and it's interesting that you say that, because Reiki is, needing to be universal at this point. And I, from time to time, kind of Spirit just says, share this healing principle, share this aspect of, so maybe that's part of the, Katie, yes, let's do that. Let's do a session together, but also you're kind of letting me know that there's some information to be shared. Sachi says, I'm working on integrating divine feminine and masculine energies. I could use help with that. Yeah, well, that's really great. Divine masculine and divine feminine, there is, as we all know, there's such a need for healing both. And if we're female in this lifetime, we might be a little bit more identified with the need for re-embodying the divine feminine. I had that goddess consciousness course. It's a year-long journey, and the whole thing was so transformational, because there were the readings and passages about how every single the tribes used to be run by women, and women are not only timekeepers because of their own cycle, but we were the keepers of society and of the community. And the earth, the primordial womb space was where babies were born and people were buried. And there's all this lore, is one of the words, about divine feminine and re-emerging of divine feminine. And also, every once in a while, the P word, as I call it, comes up, patriarchy. And that's just such an interesting word, because there's so much charge around that, and I don't necessarily like to use it. But it's just kind of a darker, heavier way of being that kept us separate. And so as much as the divine feminine has been suppressed, the divine masculine is suffering as much, because now we know we're all connected. There is no separation. And as we really kind of head toward, hopefully, a deeper understanding of our oneness, it's like you said, it's a integration of them. And how does that look? Well, part of it looks like choosing to explore and embody that divine feminine, and also to know that it's also our job to heal and allow the divine masculine to reemerge. So I will definitely consider that. Karen says, this is really affirming. Thank you. You are totally welcome. I kind of let go a little bit this gathering point, because like I said, Spirit said, you know, there's 3 more weeks that we're going to be gathering. I hear that, and it'll be at the same time. But just to kind of open up the topics, because I think that there's so much that's shifting. So I'll continue to read the emails and anything else you guys want to share. But yeah, it's such a nice, I have to say that I always look forward to, as I'm still driving to the library to get my internet. I love our gatherings, and I think that, you know, they will continue in some form or shape. I don't think there's any reason to not have online gatherings. I think they're just, we'll have a couple different versions of them, I think. So we'll do 3 more weeks, and it'll be something slightly different. And I'll let you guys know via email what that is, but it'll be at this time. So yeah. And I'm grateful to everybody who participates in live and watches it later on. I believe that it's a really good time to be on our planet, and I believe that the most profound work we can do right now, we're being presented it with it, and that is to know that our ultimate purpose is to be just like the sun, to shine our light, to shine our light, to shine our light, and to know that just like we can choose to connect with the sun and receive its light, there will be those that we encounter in our life that will choose to connect with our light, and we'll be able to uplift them. So as we, you know, trust how things make us feel, know that we're supposed to feel love, know that we're supposed to feel good, and then work on our allow more unconditional love for ourselves, so that we can be, it's a conscious choice to right now to choose to be and choose to feel loving. That's a conscious choice, because there's going to be millions of things that we can look at, they're going to make us feel not that. So it doesn't mean be naive. It just means that we get to choose. We get to choose what we watch, what we talk about, what makes us feel good. And that is one of the most profound things that I think I've experienced thus far in my life. That, you know, I've always known that, and I've always been aware of the media and other things, and never before, but for right now, has it ever been so real, you know, that we really do get to choose love. So yay. I guess with that, I think we're good. I don't know if anybody has any other questions while we're here, but I think that was kind of, I think that's short and sweet. It's, I needed the meditation. I'm in DC in the polar vortex air. Oh, the sun meditation. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, the sun meditation. I did a podcast. The sun came through in one of the podcasts in the last couple of weeks, and sun gazing is, I mentioned it in the podcast, and maybe I've even mentioned it online. I forget where I talk about this stuff, but sun gazing, it helps us with our hormonal patterns, helps us with our, you know, just having good feelings, good, you know, feeling well in the world, feeling happy, serotonin levels, also helps us with our circadian rhythms and helps us sleep better. Sun gazing is done with your eyes closed. No, you know, we don't look at the sun with our eyes open, but just by looking at the sun. And I find, even if you can't see the sun, it's, you know, having that intention to connect with the sun wherever you think it might be. The sun is that powerful. You know, the sun is like, you know, I'm here whether or not you're physically feeling the heat of my rays on your skin, or if you're behind closed doors, the sun is really there. So, and I love its simple message that it shines on everybody, you know, and that's really what we get to remember. All right, guys, thank you. Tons of love, and I will hopefully see you. I'll see you here again next Saturday. I'll be here. It'll be called something different, but we'll keep going. Have a beautiful day.